Hello everyone, this is Jordan here. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I went through designing my very first level. Um, First off, I started off with the tutorials, and that's where I spent most of my time, and that actually took up a lot of my time. So I didn't actually get to go and research ideas for what I actually wanted my level to look like. I had a general idea, pictured in my head, and I just kind of went off of that. Um, at first I started off with the mountains. I raised those up, shaped them around, smoothed them out, added the plateau next, as you can see right here. Did the river. When I first did the river, I didn't have it going into the mountain. I just kind of had it stopped right there, which wasn't very believable. So I had to go back in there and fix that. And yeah, let's see here. And after that, start adding the trees and everything on the plateau and all over in the valley, bushes and grass and all that stuff. And everything, seemed to be going smoothly. Didn't really have too many problems there because the tutorials pretty much covered everything. And, that was very easy. And once I got to the plateau up there and I did my little shanty town, I think I put the shanty town too far back because the player has to walk a bit of ways to the very end to where he repairs the glider. And at the beginning of the level, I have it to where the player has to collect all of the glider pieces in order to assemble it, not to repair it. So when the player first goes over there, he doesn't see a glider because he collects all the pieces in the beginning and then he assembles it. And yeah. And one big problem that I had though was with the door animation. Now the door animation, at first I got the door animation to work just fine, and then we had to add a camera to kind of zoom in on it as it opens once the fifth item is collected, and I just could not get my coding right in the scripts. And I would get the camera to move and show up on the screen, but the door animation wouldn't trigger. And I spent the majority of the day trying to input new code, trying to name different variables and different booleans and different game object names and stuff. And I just could not get it to work. And finally, I had figured out that I had to add another cinematic into the script, and that's where I put the main door, so that way when the script becomes true, I also add it into the main camera, so that way when the camera animation started, the door animation started too, and that fixed that. And if I had to go back and do it again, I would do that. I wouldn't try to figure out my own way to do it separately, to put them together all in one spot so that it works right then and there. And that one took probably about a day's worth of work, which is way longer than what I was hoping it would have been. And yeah, and now for my images for my shanty town, I didn't want, when the shanty town first started out during the daytime and everything, but my town and valley and everything else kind of had a bit of an eerie kind of feeling, so I decided to do it at night. And I wanted these busted down buildings and stuff with debris all over the place, like woods or pipes, and I got barrels here, so I'd add barrels into my deal. It worked and it turned out pretty nice. And now I had to do the grouping thing to unclutter my hierarchy because my hierarchy was filled with a bunch of just random things, and so I had to group a lot of items together, like this rack here. I have all those barrels and pipes and all that stuff underneath it, and I grouped all of those into that rack right there. And it turned out really nice, and it cleaned up everything really nice. And if I had to more time, I'd add another on-screen text that would stay on screen to show the number of items the player currently has. That way, if the player takes a while to find the items, they would at least know how many they have left. And I'd also put the items on top of buildings and a lot of hard to reach places, so that would require a little bit of more skill from the player in order to collect all the items. And possibly add another checkpoint to where, let's say, the player doesn't want to go in and repair the glide for whatever reason, decides to jump off the plateau. If the player does that, then he restarts at a checkpoint. And that's basically it for my shanty town. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. And yeah, here you go. And here's my great, where'd it go?